So, is this the dip that sends us into Q4 with a lot of optimism? Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. If you're new, subscribe, bell button, leave a like. Now, the camera will be returning very soon. Maybe not today because it's a bit messy behind me. However, Patreon members will get a preview of how I'm going to be doing things in the future. I've still got stuff to do, by the way. I've still got stuff coming for the background, but there'll be a lot more in terms of overall screen time with my ugly mush. So not always green screen. It'll be nice. Anyways, we need to talk today about what's happening. We all know that September's not the greatest month, and it's kind of proven that already. I put the warnings out mid-August that maybe we might not be as great in September, but we actually flew out the gates in the start of September. It was really good for the first 7 days. It was brilliant, and then obviously we took a bit of a tumble. So we'll look at dominance chart, we'll look at the total chart, we'll look at a few little variables, we'll look at a few little areas to keep an eye on, and also how to tackle it technically, right? Where to buy potential dippage. Just be careful. All I want to say. There's a lot of people getting very optimistic about the future. Yes, this video title looks pretty good and neat, but at the same time, we've got to play what we see, right? That's the most important thing. Play what we see, not what we think we want, basically. You know, doesn't make sense, right? It's like when you're trying to wish for something and it doesn't really happen. Anyways, we'll look at Bitcoin first because it's the most obvious. In my opinion, I think we're going to form a very nice, well, I hope so. If this doesn't do this thing, I'm going to freaking cry. I do believe we are going to form a nice higher low. It just seems like that was a big catalytic trend. Off we go. A few people are suggesting that we're going to be doing an ABC on this weekly, which is, in my opinion, I don't think it's going to happen. That will put everything out. It will put everything out and the bear market is in, which would be ridiculous, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think on the lower time frame it's already played out because we've had that pump back up to 52k, if that makes sense, or 50,000, whatever. Where did it go up to? It did go for nearly 53,000. Sorry, apologies. Right, so where we are, we've hit a resistance level and we're now falling towards support. I think 42,000 is a very good support level. Between 40 and 42,000, I would argue that that is the zone. That is the full Monty, if we're going to give it a name. The level that should hold. The pants on your body should be on, right? That should be the level, right? So I think that is the important level. Whether we go lower than that is another thing, and we'll look at another situation in a second in terms of the other way around. So that for me, below that level, should be all right, potentially. Hopefully that is a demand level, potentially. As I say, not financial advice, just speculation here, right? The element that we need to look at as well, obviously we hit this level of resistance, which is a 618. Fine, that's fine, cool, whatever. But if we go from this low point to this high point now, you can see already that it's in between the 382 and the 618 level potential demand for this retracement that will go on the weekly time frame. If we get sent from here, happy days. We've already hit the EMA 21 in this weekly time frame, which is fine, but we could go much higher from this point if it is a demand zone, which could argue that maybe from October onwards and we do hit this level, we may well be looking for a retest of 68,000, maybe even a little bit higher potentially, if this is going to be the third wave of this sequence, which could then yield us into a very nice bullish section for the remainder of the year, potentially, as I say. But I know some people are not really into Bitcoin, whatever, but it is the market at the end of the day, right? Moving on to another situation we can look at with this as well. What if it goes wrong? Well, this is a question that we've got to look lower. Now, if I was to tell you that maybe 28k could be tapped again, well, obviously it can be. You know, we're dealing with speculation here. Is it likely? No. Is it possible? Yes. Does that make sense? But a lot of people are still calling for 21,000. At the time, at like 28k, going around that, it looked very much on for that level. But I think now, when you think we've got the level here, we've got that level 28k level, which held for a long time, it makes it much harder in the sequence of events or what we're having with the market. The market is strong, it's bullish. A lot of people are interested in buying. even now I'm looking at the market, some coins are actually doing okay in the BTC pair, the narrative BTC pair, and that dominance chart has gone down since this morning, which we will look at next. So if I was to play the accumulation game, look at Bitcoin pairs, looking relatively good, looking very, very strong in an uptrend, and we will look at that now. So if we are going to look at the dominance chart, and I mentioned this in Learning Crypto this morning, if we go down to 30%, 30% dominance, right, I think we'll all be very, very happy with that. Monster leg down, we've had a nice pull up to resistance levels and we're on our way down. We've hit a bit of a level here, which is where we've been before. It's a downtrend. Realistic. When you look at those body closures on the statistics level, it's actually lower than that. It's important. We may well get a run back up because people will take profits, but we've got to take it in stages. We've got to do it step by step, bit by bit, right? And at the end of the day, like anything, I always say to people, if this is going up, you want to be careful, right? So if you don't know the rules of the game, if the BTC dominance is trending up, you're going to get slaughtered in the market, i.e. your altcoins will bleed Satoshis and you will lose value in Satoshi value. In terms of experiments and statistics and spreadsheets that community members have done for me, if you are looking at this at all times and you are in the right time, timing of the market essentially, if your BTC is worth more on your portfolio, naturally you'll hold more value, you'll get more USD, naturally. Some people are trying to debug it, but they're losing out. Sorry guys if you're trying to demyth this, but this is what the whales use. They literally do, they go on the dominance chart, certainly if they're looking for profits. So when it's trending down, your BTC value is rising. So when you start looking at let's have a look, I don't know, Polkadot. When you start looking at why these are going up and why they go down, it's because of that chart, right? So make sure you understand it. If you're going to play one game and one game only, right, and I genuinely mean this, if you're looking at trend analysis and you're looking, right, is it a good time to buy altcoins? Is it a bad time? You should always do it when this is the right time. Don't go against it. Yeah, there'll be some odd ones that will go against it, which is fine, but you got to look at an overall index. You will always get that black swan event of one coin going against it, but realistically, if the entire market is going with it, it's a risky game because you do not want to be in that position where, say you put one BTC. We'll talk about one BTC. Let's just go back in time here. 2019, you have one BTC put in Ethereum. You put it in at the wrong time and dominance was rising. You've lost your BTC essentially. It's gone. But it will eventually come back. But some people will look at the USD side, go, "Oh, I made money. Shit, I've made money." They'll sell it, and that BTC's gone. They've took a loss. Boom. So you got to go both ways, right? It's really, really hard to get your head around, right? Which is why, go in my Patreon. If you want me to talk about it, do a detailed thing on it, I will. Because a lot of people need to get the simple side of it. It's just timing. That's all it is. It doesn't matter how high or how low it is. It's essentially timing, right? So when we look at that, that's one element to look at. I think we're still trending down. It still looks like we're in a downtrend. As you can see, we've had this high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. You get the picture, right? Moving on though to the other side of the coin is obviously the value of, in my opinion, which is very, very strong, is the confluence between the dollar index versus the crypto market and the traditional market itself. Now, I personally think we're going to go up to that point. I think we're still trending up, and this is usually why things go a little bit shit for us, essentially. If the market is pumping, it's usually because this is coming down. If it's the other way around, it's because this is pumping. You've already seen here, look at June. So what happened in March to April? March, April, May, sorry. We had a gigapump, didn't we? We pumped like fuck. Remember? Yeah, cool. That was going down. What happened not so long after it? When this was flying, we had these mega drastic drops in the market. We shat ourselves. That was going up. What a coincidence. Fuck me. Unreal, isn't it? This analysis bollocks. But at the same time, people are like, it doesn't matter. It does, because this is where the money is fluctuating. This is where money's getting moved. And if the dollar is going down, because something's getting stronger, usually crypto, usually gold, usually other markets. Maybe not stock market at the moment. Yes, for newbies coming in, but getting a bit precarious, that one. So you've got to be careful. Right, moving on to the next one. We need to talk about the obvious. Is a total 2 chart. Now, remember my profit taking video? It aged well, didn't it? How we're looking for a retracement going down to the EMA. We're resting on it right now. We may well be getting a bit of a lull in September. It may not be tidy enough. But this is where we need to talk about it. If you're looking at this market, this is where it gets interesting, right? So you don't want to be catching the dip that doesn't dip. You want to be catching the dip that's strong and holds. We're getting to the point where it's Judgment Day, where we're literally thinking, right, what can happen now? If this goes below the EMA, we may well go a little bit lower. Yes, we've had this level where we've kind of breached this top, but at the same time, we could be looking at a retracement. And yes, you can use these. If you are looking for a range where you're thinking, well, I'll wait and see what happens at this point. I'll wait and see what happens at this point. There's nothing wrong with waiting. And this is where people lose out. It's patience. It's patience in two ways. You've got patience for taking profit and patience for the obvious, buying in. Many people are, red day, I'm going to buy. In, right? Problem is, what about if tomorrow's just as shit? What about if the day after is just as shit as the day before? What about if all week is shit? Well, you've lost, haven't you? Realistically, you've lost. Because you need to look at the fundamentals of what the entire market's doing. Now, this is a total 2 chart. This is including Ethereum. There's another one called total 3, which is binning off Ethereum, which deserves to die anyways, and BTC, right? So it's the whole entire market cap. As I say, the same with the BTC dominance. It is an index, right? There will be a black swan. There will be one coin that does its own thing. Look at Solana, for example. You just took off like a rocket, right? So what I would do with this, look at the higher time frames. Look at a moving average, in my opinion, that works well in crypto is the 21. Now, look at the 3-day chart. If you don't have TradingView, you should get it. What if we are going down to that 1.12 trillion mark where the market is just going to naturally take profit? People are going to spill money out. People are going to shit themselves because they're over leveraged. What if that level there is where the market turns around again? Potentially. This is all speculation. But the lower this goes, the better the opportunities you're going to get, realistically. Now, that doesn't mean you should be wishing for it. But at the same time, people will be scratching their heads going, 13th of September, the market was really fucking red. I bought some. Shouldn't though, because I should have waited. The idea is, don't put your whole entire bag in, right? Little bits. Think of it as eating your food. One mouthful at a time, right? Simple, right? Easy. Why? Because it's obvious. If this market's going to turn off and turn away a few people because they got wrecked in over leverage trading, the market's going to come down anyways. But realistically, you've got to think logic. What if it turns around? Well, cool, right? But if you bought the dip at that point and a little bit of it, you win. Too many people look at Mr. Hindsight. Mr. Hindsight will go, go all in there. What if it goes up? Well, it goes up. And then you get some influencer that will go, I told you so. Told you it's going to happen. I did it. I bought 100 grand. Fuck off. No, you never. Where's the proof? Sorry, I don't have the proof. I won't do that. Yeah, aye. Okay, lovely. So you need to be realistic. And at the end of the day, if we do come down, we come down. You know, you can't really fight it. But if you're buying little bits at little points of little target zones that you think, oh, actually, okay, because you can then look at your coins. Now, if let's have a look. What should we look at? Look at Ethereum, right? It all looks the same. You know, it's weird, isn't it? Giving away free alpha here. So if you're thinking, right, what if Ethereum, I want to buy it at a level. The first level you should be looking at is 3,139. Basically not too far away from here because that is a one level. But why not just wait a little bit longer and wait, see what happens next? Because, yeah, put a little bit here, it's a level of support. Cool. But you've got to remember, it's also been much lower than that. You've also got to remember, we've got all this level here. You've got to remember, we've got 618 here at 2,600. You've got to remember, what if the total 2 chart goes even lower? You've got to tackle it in your own way. And every chart will look the same. And I'm not joking. Most charts look very, very similar. Here's Polkadot. It's been on a bit of a gigapump recently. It's doing well. And then when you go to the daily time frame, you'll probably notice it. It's looking all right. But there's always going to be dips to be bought. It's hit a level of resistance twice, but it has created a new high. It's an important point there for trend direction. But look at the dip there. Look at that dip. So when we're looking at this overall structure, we went from this low and we pulled up. But if I just reverse it, just to give you a point here, this is just to prove a point. Look at that. Look at where we hit this top here, but actually, no, sorry, I'll go to this one, the previous high. So back in time, you know, if I remove, hold on. Let me just start that again. I'm just a rookie, remember. if you're looking at this previous phase here, right, where this is where the dip was, this is where orders were planted. Look left, there's so much. This is what this level's for. It's huge. Obviously, it could have went lower, but look at where that wick went. If you were just scaling down some little orders down here, you win. You win loads. And yes, it turns around, but you only do this on coins that you've done your research on. You know that it's a good fair value anyways, because it could have went lower. It could have went way below $20 again. Could have done, easily. But that's the thing. It's fair value. You're looking for the right opportunities. And what happened next? Well, we popped off to the upper side, and now we created a new high. So it works in a way. It's an interesting concept. But for me, I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, well, it's done its correction, cool. So now what do we do? Well, see that ugly, horrible wick that I believe some people are probably hanging on to? You know, we've got this potential top that's been created. What's going to happen now? Well, we could be looking at this level here, $32 could be the next resting point, and then we could go boom, blast off from there, and then we could take, you know, that right resistance level out. So, are we looking for the long term? I think we are. I think we're looking good. I think personally we are naturally coming down. I think naturally we are coming down, and we may well be blowing this out the fucking park, essentially, hopefully, fingers crossed. If that is the case, I'll be very, very happy. We may well go for a double dip at this level because we've already tapped it in and went in and around it. But nothing goes up forever. We had a monstrous end of July or mid-July all the way up to like the 7th of September. Like, we had a great 6-7 weeks. It's got to come down at some point, realistically. So anyways, enjoy. Make sure you jump in premium, especially for the Patreon content. It's awesome. And yeah, see you again soon.